welcome to another edition of Now You Know. I'm Chris Perkins, and I have two special guests here this morning. I have to my far right, Tom O'Brien, and to my immediate right is Stacy O'Brien, and we're at the Somerset Abbey in Madison, and we're here to kind of get an update on what's been going on. We met with you folks 3 years ago, and they've been three long years in between, quite frankly.
Sure have.
And COVID's affected everybody, including you folks. So why don't you just tell me what's been going on, what's happened in the last few years?
Right. Well, we're technically in our 8th season, but it doesn't feel like it because, as you know, for at least a few of the COVID years, we had to be shuttered, and then you could reopen, and then you're closed again, and then, it was crazy. So, yeah, it's been a rough couple of years. But, we got through COVID. We did some things trying really hard to stay open and keep people safe. A lot of it was reduced numbers for our shows. I'd have the tape out here measuring, space between the tables so that people could come in. They were 6 feet apart. You wear your mask in, you're okay at the table. I mean, it was all over the place. So I'm glad to have it behind ourselves. But the things that we took away from that is, we've got HEPA air filtration system that we, put in here, and we run that for every show because that just makes sense, whether it's cold and flu season or COVID. You just, filter your air so we're not spreading cold viruses. And
Were you closed for a period of time when the outbreak first happened? I mean, everybody, before vaccinations, everybody was, of course, freaking out and quarantining and so forth, and that must have been hard to operate a business during that time.
It was super scary. For the first month, we sat at home glued to our TV trying to figure out, what's going on, when is it going to come to an end. You're basing things on what you're hearing from China, and, you're not sure how much of that is right and true, and nobody had any information. And then in the second month, people weren't going into work, and, Tom and I went to work down at the lumberyard.
Yeah.
We worked there because our friend Joe Roy he didn't have any help at the counter. I'm like, I can run a register. Tom went and helped in the back delivering wood. We still had bills to pay, so
You basically had to do what you had to do in order to keep going. When did you start to come out of it again? When did you start getting acts again to come in and perform?
By that summer, they were talking about you could be outside and open. So, I mean, we've had the tent space already for exterior shows, which we would call our larger shows. In this case, they weren't larger shows. So it was maybe what we would normally house inside here is what we were doing outside, but we did it outside. And you were able to, again, we measured everything out. I was able to put a dance floor in at a time when people weren't allowed to dance, but I was putting little X's and saying, all right, if you dance around your X, that keeps you 8 feet away from that person, so, I increased the space, so allowed for them to dance around a little, and we kind of did stuff like that, trying to just keep people safe and still having a good time. And it was outside, but then once things got cold, we stayed out there as long as we could, but you're coming back in, things slowed down. I think we couldn't even be open, right?
We were closed for 3 months.
Okay.
And we had to make decisions, some hard decisions on how to stay open, how to reopen for the summer. So we negotiated with some of the bands and said, this is how many people we could have, this is what we can do, do you want to play? And they were eager to play. We were able to stay open by being flexible.
And they had to be flexible because they had nothing going on either, right?
Absolutely, but, you know, what it did was it kept us open. We weren't making money, but we were paying our vendors and our sound people, and the bands were getting paid. So we kept things flowing and made it through, and we don't regret doing it. It was great to have some music, and people really appreciated being able to get out and have a little fun and entertainment. But we really had to make like Stacy said, make major adjustments to make it work.
And you it must have taken a while to get your numbers up again, because there are a lot of, I mean, face it, Madison area, you've got a lot of older people in the community, and they're probably more COVID adverse, I would say, than if you had a real young population. So I'm sure it took you a while to get your people back in here again.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's still exactly back to where it was pre-COVID. There's, you know, we've got the economy now, and that's hitting people pretty hard, so they're making decisions. But, you know, we're bouncing back. I would say we've got a murder mystery coming up next week, and that will be probably the first show that we've had that we're mixing groups. In the 3 years. I mean,
Okay.
we've been keeping people pretty much contained within their group. So it's like if you book 4 tickets, we'll put you at a table for 4. If you book 8 tickets, it's like you're all coming together. This will be the first time that we're taking, you know, like a table like this seats 8. So we would take, if it's 4 couples,
Yeah.
putting them together.
Okay.
And it'll be, that's the first time we've done that in all this time, so.
Oh my goodness, and it's been, yeah, as I said, I mean, I think it all hit maybe like March of 2020, and here we are towards the end of 2022, and we're just gradually coming back to normal, and they still are using the term pandemic, I guess, for this,
Yeah.
and you read the numbers, and there's still people being hospitalized in the state with this stuff, so let's just hope sometime this comes to an end, although I suspect we'll always have some aspect of this going on.
I mean, I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
but I just think eventually it seems to, with each new form that comes out, it seems to be less of a chance that you're going to die. You still get sick. I think it's going to eventually become like the flu or the common cold, or, you know, something like that with time.
Let's hope it's a once-a-year vaccination, and
let's hope.
Let's hope we get there. But anyways, enough about COVID. Let's
Yes.
emphasize the positive here a little bit more. Give us a little background on your history. I saw, and thank you for sending me those notes. You folks have owned this now for 8 years.
Yep.
And it's been an interesting 8 years, and Stacy, you're a local.
I am.
girl.
I grew up here.
Yeah.
Yep. My family, 3 generations of family, has lived here in Madison and run a business. And
Yeah.
my brother still does down on the flats. And you know, I've come back home after being out into the world and brought my husband with me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people who are from Maine but go out of state to make a living for a period of time have that longing to come back to the state, and you did. I mean, not only the longing to come back to the state, but to do something inspiring for your hometown.
Yeah, Madison is a great area. You know, but people who live here don't often realize how lucky they are. You know, they kind of poo-poo on it, and it's, you know, sleepy, it's Mayberry, it's like, that's what makes it unique and wonderful. You know, you get out there in the world and it's like, it can be a scary place, you know, you can't walk down your streets, and, you know, and this is fantastic, you know, to be here. And, you know, I'm pretty passionate about the town. You know, there was a time when I remember all the shops were full, and I hope to see that again. And I just hope that the Abbey can be like an important part of that, you know, of the town and the direction that it's taking. You know, there's like some exciting stuff that's happening in Madison, and I'm happy to be here.
Now, you have a background, you were a bar manager, and you were actually were involved in booking musical events and things back along the way, so that background helped with this place, with Somerset Abbey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my history. I actually went to school for architecture, but while I was in college, I got a job at a bar, and that helped with money. And then after I got out of college and was finding a job, but then you've got student loans and car payments, and so I always kind of hung on to that job, and eventually that job turned into a managerial job where you're dealing more with people, and then I'm booking music. So that fell right into what we needed here. And Tom's got a great background with the tent company, so he's done all aspects of planning events and the logistics of getting the equipment in that you need to run an event, and has a great understanding of that. So the two of us sort of walked in here, and I feel like we had a base already to start with just from our life experiences.
Yeah, Tom, you have a long history within the tent business, renting tents out for various events and so forth, like 30 years or so, and you brought that experience here to Madison and the Somerset Abbey.
Yes, the way you say that, you make me sound old.
No, you're probably not older than I am, so.
Professionally.
I've been in the events business longer than I like to admit, yes. I've got
Yeah.
40 years of experience in the business, doing events and music and weddings and festivals. And Stacy went to college in Vermont, and that's where we met. And then she lured me here to Madison, and we combine our skill sets and have a lot of experience in the business. And if you had told me I was going to buy a church in Madison and run an event center, I would have thought you were crazy, but here we are. We
Here.
both had our dreams and goals. Stacy wanted to manage a pub and run a pub, and I wanted to have a big music event center.
So you
And
combined
so-
your skills and backgrounds and
And-
brought it here.
And
Now
here we
you
are.
made full use of your tent background here at Somerset Abbey, because during the summer months you have your events, or most of your events, outside or out back here in a very large tent.
Right. And we have the ability to do that, so we have 3 performance spaces here.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting, the potential and what we're doing, and something that basically Stacy wanted to stimulate the environment and the economy around here, which we feel that we do. And for every dollar spent on entertainment, a national average for every dollar spent on entertainment brings in between $10 and $12 for the local economy. So as we sell tickets here, it's helping people come and spend money on other businesses and other,
Right.
other area of entertainment, which is a benefit to the area. And that, we feel good about that as well. And I like to see what's happening around us. There are a lot of good things happening in Madison with the rail trail and different things, and Go Labs and the mill. These things are all important, and there's a lot of growth. And as people come into town, they want things to entertain them and things to do. So having the Abbey here it kind of feeds itself. It's beneficial for them, it's beneficial for us to have more people coming to the area.
Absolutely. Now we're sitting in the main room. Is this the one you call Uptown?
Yep.
Room? This is the Uptown room, and we're in what used to be a church.
Yep.
And that church, I read the little background on this, the Weston family, which is such a huge name in Madison, involved in so many things, and the Weston Woods down here and trails and so forth
Yes.
is part of their legacy as well. But apparently they donated this property to a church. I think it was like 1891, and then they opened the church in 1892. It was the Congregational or United
United Congregational
United
Church.
Congregational Church, and that kept going all the way until the end of 2014, and then you guys took it over. Because otherwise, it was going to be an empty building, and you know, based on just looking around here, and I'm sure John will pan around and show you pictures of it, but it's an absolutely beautiful building that would have been really terrible if it had not been put back into use, which you folks have done.
Yeah, it's hard to think that anybody would have torn it down, you know, but that was the possibility that the parishioners were looking at, and they did not want that to happen to their church. But the congregation had shrunk. People just, you know, they've gotten married, moved away. You know, there was 15 people that were attending here. They were attending down in the basement. They weren't even up here in the chapel. Just to conserve heat, you know, they were here one day a week, and, you know, so they were down there. So, you know, yeah, we came in and we had some ideas about what we wanted to do, and, you know, first and foremost, I wanted to make sure that the building remained and it became, you know, something hopefully important in Madison, you know. And so here we are, you know, it's like, you know, it has certainly taken on a life of its own. I had ideas in the beginning about what we would be doing a lot of, and that had none of that has like happened. You know, I thought we'd be doing church, you know, more churchy sort of things like weddings and you know, stuff like that. Just based on like Hinckley Chapel, they're always busy. They're always booking weddings. I'm like, this church is beautiful. We left all the pews, you know, for the first, I don't know, 2-3 years or something like that. Thinking that we would be doing those sort of activities, and a lot of our stuff was just downstairs. We'd have like comedy and some music and stuff downstairs, and it was limited to that sort of space. And it wasn't to be, you know, we weren't booking a ton of weddings, and
a lot of them doing those barn weddings now, and, looking
Much different.
those types of venues.
So it just led us down a different path. You know, at one point I looked at Tom and I was like, what we need is more space. So, you know, we pulled all the pews out, and, you know, we still have them. They're piled up in a basement, but and so then that opened up this space up here. So it wasn't just downstairs in what we call the wine cellar. So we started, you know, we came up with a name for this that denoted the two spaces, and you know, we do a lot of our music shows up here now. And what was the altar is the stage, and we just had a class reunion, so we do a lot of class reunions. And
We just did a 50-year reunion for Madison High School.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Class of 72 last weekend. And it's interesting because one of the people that were attending approached me and asked if we would do a celebration of life for one of their parents. And then we got into the conversation, and they had been baptized in the church and married in the church. And
Oh, yes.
so there's a lot of connections like that. So as much as we're doing something new and different, it gives people that connection to when they were a child and they've been here for other uses and when it was a church. And they can come here and have a celebration. So we still do events like that, the class reunions, the celebrations of life, things like that. And we have full food service and bar service, so when you come here, you can have everything that you would need for your event.
Yeah.
And it just, in a way, it's interesting to me to see the connections going back 50, 70. I mean, the woman that passed is 98 years old, you know, and so, I mean, connections from back right after this was built. It was built in 1892. So her family was here not too long after it was built. So those connections are kind of interesting. And even though it's not being used as a church, it's still serving the town in those ways.
Well, there are a lot of families that have just stayed here in the Madison area forever. And so there are a lot of connections that have been built up over the years. It's a pretty intimate community, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're, what got you inspired to do, you know, the shows and stuff that you have now, the musical shows and the murder mysteries and drag shows and all those things? What, once you took the pews out, obviously that opened the space. Is that about the time you started getting into those things?
Well, yeah, so we took the pews out, and you know, it was for dinner shows and you know, class reunions and things like that, to just offer a different space. But yeah, as I mentioned, things, you know, they didn't necessarily go how I thought they were going to go when we first, you know, bought the place. And I maybe started with like a very pared down menu of like, I'm going to do sandwiches or something like that. But as we went along, what we found was needed was like in-house catering for this sort of stuff. So we just started getting more involved in the food. So then it was like, okay, so we do the food for, you know, these sit-down dinners or these class reunions. And then it was like, well, you know, people want a more of a dinner show kind of vibe. You know, our demographic tends to be a little older, probably 35 and up. Yeah, you know, so this is really becoming the place where you can come with your friends or out on a date night, you know. And, you know, I love to see people out on a first date. They want to go sit in the corner and they, you know, they're enjoying the show and they're getting a bite to eat and they're like having conversation. And it's like, that's what I want this place to be, is where you come with your friends, you come with your date, you know, you get a bite to eat. We designed it for all the things that Tom and I like to do when we go to a show, you know. And we love music, so obviously we have music, but we also like to go have like a meal where you feel satisfied and it's, you know, comforting. And so that's the type of food that I try and have here. And just in terms of the types of shows, it's really has been driven by the people who come, you know. It's like we do murder mysteries, so I've got 4 of those booked for next year. Drag shows, there is, you know, a huge group of people that are interested in that, whether they are trans or gay or just curious and interested with the shows, the RuPaul's Drag Race. People are sort of, you know, they see it on TV, they're interested, they want to see, and these are the people in our community, you know. And so yeah, you know, we've got 4 of those that come, and they dance and do, you know, costume changes, and they lip sync, and, you know, they're like do, I don't know, high kicks and, you know, all kinds of stuff there. So that's done while we serve dinner, you know. And so it's like a lounge act. And then and the psychic dinners, we do those, and that is, I call them psychics, but it's less about being psychics, it's more about being, I guess, a medium. So they talk to your departed loved ones, you know. So you sit and you talk with them, and they get you in touch. And it's sort of from the venue standpoint, it's, you know, we're just serving food and they're doing what they do, you know. But it's bizarre because it's very emotional for people. So you're trying to serve dinner and you want to see people happy and laughing, and sometimes they're crying because, you know, they just had this very emotional thing happen, you know. And you're like, is everything okay? Can I get you a tissue?
I'm sure you didn't envision psychic readings and drag shows as probably your original business plan.
No, and, you know, when he's talking about celebrations of life, if you would have told me that I was going to be doing, you know, funerals and things like that, I never counted on that either. But it's a part of life, you know. And
so the early years really have been, you know, you're just testing the waters here and really getting a feel for what works. And hopefully now you've kind of found your groove here and can go forward with this. And
well, definitely focusing on things that have worked, and it's like, okay, you know, like anybody, you're like, all right, we'll keep that. That's a good thing, you know. And it's like, well, that one, it kind of flopped, you know. We're not going to do that.
Your attendance tells you.
Yeah.
You've kind of gone, a lot of these shows revolve around having dinner. You call it a supper club now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Describe what you do for meals.
So we have 3 different types of menus. So I mentioned the class reunions. We've got a Marine Corps ball, and we do Christmas parties and things like that. So that type of menu, that's up on our website, and that's something where we charge by the plate, basically, and you pick out, 3 entrees, a couple veggies, some starches, salads come with that, desserts come with that, and that's one type of menu. Then we have the dinner shows. That type of menu you purchase online when you buy your ticket. So it's like it's kind of inclusive. You tip at the end of the show for your wait staff and stuff, but it pays for your ticket and your meal. And you have 3 choices. So it's usually, there'll be a couple meat-based meals, and then like a vegetarian one. We do vegans or special requests, but obviously we're not going to have it if you haven't contacted us ahead of time. It's something you need to be like, hey, I want to come to this show, I'm a vegan, I can't have that, or I've got these allergies, what can you do for me? And we'll work with that, and because we want everybody to be able to feel like they can come and get a great meal. We don't always have that because we're limited here. It's not like we're open every day for a restaurant.
Are most of your bookings online now, rather than somebody coming last minute and hoping to get a ticket?
All of our tickets are primarily sold online now, and that is something pretty new. We've been in the past pretty loosey-goosey with it, and it is sort of bitten us on the butt. So with growing, we need to just be able to keep track of the tickets sold and who has them, and in some cases, if we've had to cancel a show, somebody's gotten COVID, whatever, the show's not going to happen. You need to be able to get a hold of these people, and if you didn't get their phone numbers to start with, how do you let them know?
Right.
Or if you accidentally the paper got filed in the wrong folder, because you're still dealing with this, papers, and you're shuffling it around and it got misfiled. Well, now you don't have somebody's order in the right thing, where now that we've asked that everybody just purchase online, I can pull it up in the week before, I get all the names, it gets listed how many tickets they bought, we set up the room based on that.
Sure, a lot easier for you.
Yeah, I can keep track. So
do you have like a minimum number of attendees before you need to cancel a show?
Well,
or does it vary? Yeah,
it depends on how much I'm having to pay for the band.
Of course.
But probably, if we get like 30 or 40 people, I mean, we've had a lot of shows this year where we haven't made any money, but we've gone ahead and done them anyways. We've had enough people where we're kind of like, well,
Well, you don't want your reputation being hurt by canceling the shows all the time. Yeah.
But then we've had other ones.
There are times when we need to, and the bands understand, and a lot of shows around us and bigger venues are being canceled, like Bangor Waterfront.
Yes.
Places where they have big national artists, and their shows are being canceled.
Not just you, that's true.
It's something that's prevalent and happening, and it's very new to us, because we do not cancel shows, but we've had to cancel a few this fall and this summer, but that's not, going forward, we're not expecting that.
Yeah.
Things are coming around, and things are coming back around. When you were talking about the food, we're a scratch kitchen, everything's homemade. People love that. They come in, the desserts are homemade. I'll be waiting the tables, and I'll be waiting on people, and I'll say, oh, I'm stuffed, I can't eat any dessert, and then I'll bring the desserts out, and they'll go like, ooh, all right, I'll have one of those and one of those, and it's like, suddenly they find room, and that's what we love, is we're feeding people and making them happy, and the food end of it is a big part of what we do. And even for the outdoor shows and the music, our phone will be ringing off the hook. What are we having for dinner? What are our choices? What can we do? And that's what we're all about. That's the biggest part of it.
I think I read something about like grandma makes, and you use real sugar and real
Real
butter and all fresh
Correct.
ingredients and all that. So who's doing all the cooking? Is it you, Stacy? or-
It's pretty much myself, and I have a lady that cooks with me named Bobby. And so the two of us we're doing it up old school.
Yeah, good. Meal formats now, you also have all the special events, whether it be the class reunions or the business meeting things or seminars and so forth. You have a certain food schedule for those as well, right?
Yep. Well, as I mentioned, there's the menu that you'll find on our webpage, and that offers 3 different types. So it's like more of a sit-down meal,
Yeah.
or like a soup and sandwich sort of situation. So besides doing things like, class reunions and private parties and functions like that, we've have also done business trainings. So they might come in, book the day.
Yeah.
They've got their whoever's doing the presentation or trainings or whatever, and they might have like a 10 o'clock snack, which might be could be yogurt parfaits, or if they want to go something more along the lines of sweets, it might be cinnamon rolls, and coffee goes out, and then they might have a lunchtime thing, and that's where the sandwiches would come in. So it might be like 3 different kinds of sandwiches and some, maybe a pasta salad, and there might be, like a green salad, maybe a soup. And,
Yeah.
So you kind of put that out and they can all get something to eat. And then there might be a 3 o'clock, snack of cookies and more coffee, because you get those 3 o'clock, sleepies, and it's like, you got to stay awake for that last little bit of your training,
Yeah.
So we've done things like that as well. So
Let's talk about upcoming shows. I mean, you had a bunch of shows this summer, right?
Yeah.
And the tent is not being used anymore, getting a little cold,
it's
right?
it's too cold.
Yeah, so we're inside now for everything going forward, and I know soon you've got a murder mystery coming up, right?
Yep, next weekend.
Okay, and that's coming up.
Sold out.
Are all the shows on Saturday nights? As it seems like most of them I saw were.
Yeah, Fridays or Saturdays.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like everybody prefers a Saturday night. Bands, lots of times, they might be working their work week and then filling in on the weekend, or they're traveling from, we have a lot of people that come from the Boston or New York area that will come to play. But yeah, so, we've got the murder mysteries. We probably have 4 of those booked for next year, 4 of the psychic dinners, and 4 of the drag shows. And now we're filling in with music. So there will be some of the tribute bands that we've had in the past, but we're really doing a push towards original artists.
Yeah.
So last summer that included, we had Jonathan Edwards here.
Yeah.
Not the psychic medium guy, Jonathan Edwards.
No.
We had some people call, but like the Jonathan Edwards.
Jonathan Edwards.
And so that was pretty cool. It
Yeah.
was nice to meet him. He's really a great guy, super chill,
Yeah.
and very approachable. Came and he signed all kinds of neat stuff. We had the Adam Ezra Band last year, which he's a really great up-and-coming performer. Originally out of Massachusetts, but I think he lives in southern Maine, or at least he owns some property down there. And so that is great, just fantastic music. We've had the Mallet Brothers in the past, and I want to get them in again.
Sure.
Let's see, I'm trying to think.
We've got a Bon Jovi tribute coming up.
Yeah, we're still doing the tributes.
Tributes, Bon Jovi. I think I saw Yellow Brick Road, the Elton John tribute.
We've got Pat Caldwell, he does a
Yeah.
Christmas. That's a
Actually,
great show.
I saw
That's a really cool show.
him a few years ago here, and they do an amazing
Yeah.
show. He's based out of the Augusta area, isn't he?
He
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, but And you got him, what, December 3rd? Got him coming back again this year.
Yes.
And yeah, he did a fantastic show.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
doing a New Year's show. We don't always have a show on New Year's Eve, but we're doing a dance party on New Year's Eve. So we're doing that
Yep.
as well.
And that'll be, not so much, that'll be more what you think of, a varied amount of music, you know, so there'll be a little bit of something for everybody.
Party hats, champagne, those things.
Well, yeah. Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
And half hors d'oeuvres, so your ticket's going to include, you know, food, because that's what we do here, right? Is
Absolutely.
Lots of food, and, you know, not just, gosh, I went to one once where they promised food, and it was like things that came out of the fryolators, and people would just descend on it, and you'd get up there, and there'd be nothing left but like this dried up looking little,
Oh, yeah.
you know, deep fried mushroom, and you're like, this is it. So it won't be that.
No.
But so yeah, we've got stuff like that. We have a Grateful Dead tribute that comes. That'll be coming in March. We've got a Van Morrison tribute coming next June. We had them this last season, and it was early spring. Wasn't as well attended as I would have hoped, but they were fantastic. I mean, if you like Van Morrison, you should definitely come. And they were called Moon Dance, just fantastic.
Yep. And they come from all over, what, New England? Or
Yeah, those guys were from New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
So,
Yeah, we try to bring acts to the area that don't perform here all the time, so people get to see something special when they come, or something different. We've got a band called Almanac, who's based out of Scotland, and they play mostly Highland games, but it's Scottish tribal music, and it's an amazing act.
I saw something where you had Celtic music here before, which is really
yeah. Well, these
something that's
guys are
really
like
nice, really beautiful music.
one bagpipe and basically a drum line.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. We had to get them on an odd day. It was
Yeah.
like a Thursday. I don't normally have shows on Thursdays, but they're in between. They played Old Orchard Beach, and they were heading off to another like Highland game.
Yeah.
So we got them in between, and that was when we could get them. And it's just fantastic music, very powerful. And it's like, if you like that sort of, Celtic bagpipey, it's the show to see. But we also had a couple of ladies come down out of Canada that kind of doing the Cape Breton thing, and they were doing a little mini tour, and they were booking themselves around, and they came through and they did a fantastic job. And
Yeah,
they did some
yeah.
step dance up on the stage, and the people who came really enjoyed that. It's fun and lively, and what you think of when you think of like Celtic music,
Yeah.
more traditional.
Well, you certainly have a wide variety of different shows and events going on here. I mean, you almost everything imaginable you've said. So, and you finally, I think you folks are getting into your niche here. You found what is successful for you, what type of events are successful, the food offerings that you have, and hopefully we will have a normal, healthier going forward. So
I hope so.
So things will be better, and everybody can finally make a little money
Yeah.
for a change.
I'm looking forward to things just hopefully getting back to some sort of normal,
Yeah, absolutely.
where you know what the environment is. You're not like, what's happening next.
Absolutely. One thing we got to mention too, there's another building on your property called, is it the Carningle?
The cottage, yeah.
The cottage. And that used to be, going back in church history here, that used to be the rectory,
Yeah, the
right?
parsonage.
Parsonage, yeah,
Yep.
parsonage. And that, I believe, was built in 1909, and it's a really classic building. And if people got, for example, got married here and they wanted to stay in that building, they could.
Yep.
Yeah, just a brief description of that.
Well, yeah, so we offer that. We have, like, it's available for some of these trainings that we talked about. Like, sometimes you'll have companies that want to come together, and they're doing like, I'm trying to think, like a building opportunity where they're, I'm not articulating that well at all.
No, that's okay.
It, like group trainings or something like that,
Sure,
but they're
sure.
like also building together a team,
Okay.
you know, that sort of thing. So we rented it to people for that, where they just come and stay. So
Yeah.
it's 5 bedrooms,
Yeah.
and it will sleep up to, I don't know, 12 people or something like that.
Got a Victorian fireplace, I understand.
It does. We've done Airbnb, we've done
Yeah.
that. We kind of stopped doing that during COVID, and I haven't started, but you know, we'll probably get back around to doing that. And this is where we house these bands that come from out of state. So
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah, it's like
it's a pretty spacious. When we did our show 3 years ago, we actually walked through there, and maybe we'll have time today, as a matter of fact. We've been talking now probably about 40 minutes or so, and I thought maybe what we'd do is roam around the building and let people get a look at what you got.
okay.
Let's
all
do
right.
that.
So we have some great examples of stained glass here, things that had been, you know, donated by families where they had paid to have it installed. We keep it covered during shows just for, you know, soundproofing, and it makes for a very live room. But I mean, they're just fantastic and beautiful, and the woodwork in here is amazing. You'll see, you know, that was put by the family, the Powers. This is a Weston. And you can even see right here, this is the maker's mark. So yeah, the woodwork itself is just fantastic, and like the little details. I mean, they spared no. Actually, that's not. Here, let's look at a different door.
Gonna ring the bell.
Even the hinges. I mean, they're just beautiful. The detail that goes into and these thumb latches and.
Stacy, Tom said that he was going to ring the bell. He said the bell tower still works here.
Oh yeah, the bell. You want to give that a shot? You ring it for weddings and stuff. I always tell them, oh no, the whole town will know.
Here we have the bell and the bell tower.
Keep going. The bell has a name on it. It came from Massachusetts.
People are going to be wondering what the occasion is.
It's heavy. You'll get out of breath like pulling that.
She was narrating, I was pulling. That's a treat for people to ring the bell sometimes when they come in for a show or a wedding.
Yeah.
Hey, where's the pipe organ?
Oh, it's up here on the stage.
I think we need to see that. Ian Skinner.
Very famous organ master. We are
Very impressive. Does it still play?
It does.
Either you know how?
We do not.
Can't play. Okay.
And we actually had a guy come and look at it. It needs to be greased. The workings of it are downstairs in the back room, the breather and stuff like that. The man who played for this church has since passed, and it seems that there's not as many people who know how. There'll be people who know how to play piano or people who know how to play an organ, but not as many people know how to play these pipe organs. So.
There aren't many around, are there? I mean, it's very impressive.
No, this was installed in 1928.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful instrument. It
This
really
whole
is.
addition was put on just to house the blower and the pipes and the organ.
And the building used to end at this wall here.
I see. Yeah.
And then they added that when they installed the organ.
This light used to catch, the afternoon sun, and now, let's see, is that it? No, that's it.
Here we go. Maybe over to the bar area, I guess.
Yeah. So this is our bar setup, where we try to carry a lot of the local beers and stuff. So you'll look, and we've got some Bigelow Brewing, some Gagan's, the Maniac Mac, Allagash, and the Blue Shine Lemonade are all local. And then on tap, we've got some Gagan's and Captain Eli's soda is actually bottled right down in Portland as well. So we try and keep some local stuff. Poland Spring water, that whole, when they say to buy local, it's not, yes, it's the farmer's market, but sometimes it's just using the products that are made or bottled or, here in Maine. That keeps your neighbors working, keeps the money here in the state.
Right.
So.
Buy local.
Yes.
And this is open during all your shows, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Unless otherwise, like a school function or something like that, obviously we don't have the bar open. We just, we might sell soda or something like that.
I see if somebody wants to buy a Somerset Abbey t-shirt or sweatshirt or whatever, you have those over-
Yeah, we got a case.
Yeah.
Little Madison Pride there, right? They
Oh,
say
that-
Madison, Maine on there.
Oh yeah, very good. I think we should see the wine cellar.
Yes. So we'll head downstairs. Turn some lights on down here. So this is where we would have trade shows. I think this is where we did our last. It's still kind of set up for the trade show we had last, where they did a presentation up there, and all the folks came and sat, and we did sandwiches and things over here, a little buffet station. We do have a downstairs bar if we're doing something down here that's more tucked away. Tom is opening that up. We keep it kind of covered the rest of the time, so it's more as I said, more tucked away, so it's not quite as prominent. And it's a mess. But, so yeah, this is our little downstairs bar. And we've got this, some people who used to go to, it was a grocery store over where Campbell's Hardware is. I want to say Green Stamps, gosh, I'm trying to remember. It was there when I was a kid. But there was 3 of them that were along the meat case, and so this was one of them. And this was here when we bought the building because it had the church in it. And then there's one at the town office, and then there's another one.
So if it had the
This is an old photo of the town, and as you can see, there's a streetcar line, an electric trolley line running right down past the church and out.
Is that the one that went to Lakewood?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And you could leave Madison on the streetcar and go to Lakewood, go to Skowhegan, go to Waterville and Augusta and beyond. So Madison was very connected
Very
in
connected.
the early days.
If it's showing the church was built in 1892.
Yep.
So this must have been probably shortly after that, right?
Right. The
Yep.
parsonage had not been built yet.
Yep.
To the left of the brick building is where the parsonage is today.
Yeah,
That little
that's right.
mound hadn't been built yet.
That's very interesting. I noticed here in the room you also have a lectern and a screen so people can do presentations down here.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, that's what we had in here last was, it was a business training.
Yeah.
Bob's Cash Fuel had come in and utilized it. They had, I think, operating their boom trucks for setting their propane tanks.
Yes,
And know
yes.
how to operate that. So they had the company
Yeah.
who sells the boom trucks come in and train everybody on how to
Yeah.
operate one of those so they can safely use it. And then, yeah, we provided, snacks and lunch for that.
Yeah. Very good. Now, we have a few minutes. Do you want to just quickly show us the Coningle
The cottage? Yeah, Carnival.
Carnival. I'm sorry, not pronouncing it right.
That's okay. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have picked something easy, right?
Accent on the wrong syllables there.
Yeah, so we've got dining space here. I've got 3 generations of women in my mother's family. Wedding pictures there. There's Tom and I. And then there's my mother's wedding picture. And that's her. My mother's just to the right of there, and then that's my grandparents. They lived over in Norwich Walk. Sargent was their name. And then my grandmother's parents was that one that you had focused on.
I love the chandelier too.
Thanks. I found that, and its twin is over here. I found that in a second-hand shop in Newport. When we had first bought the place, this building was being utilized by the state as, well, it was a battered women's shelter. And, but they have relocated. But with anything that the state tends to do, they had taken the character right out of the place, and there was a lot of fluorescent lighting and, you know, yucky carpet. So
You've restored. I love the built-in features here too.
yeah, this building is just fantastic. So yeah, to some degree we put a little character back in, but there was a lot still here. I mean, these pocket doors are just, I mean, they're fantastic. You just don't see stuff like that anymore, you know?
No, you don't.
And then got our little kitchen here. I like the little back stairs, so they probably, when you think in terms of, you know, the Reverend being here, there was probably a door here.
Yeah.
And if he was meeting with people, you know, you could come down from upstairs and into the kitchen and do what needed to be done. This, I think, was just a back porch. Still kind of, it's insulated now, but still sort of has that back porch feel. They had a much smaller bathroom. We installed something that has a handicap shower in it, but and then we've got, this would have been his office. Now it's just a bedroom. It's not made up though.
We got to take a look at the living room with the fireplace. too.
Yes. I didn't look ahead of time. It's sort of a mess.
Do people still have fires in the fireplace? Is it usable?
You know, I don't know. I have never had a fire there. Those are just they're battery operated candles.
Oh, okay.
I want to avoid all fire, you know. And this is kind of fun. This is like, you know, instead of family photos, I have this is my memorabilia of like some of the bands and things that have been here. So I've got like my pick collection, I guess. They leave me stickers, and sometimes they hide them in the house, and you know, I'll find them, frame them up.
Nice.
But so yeah.
Want to take a look at a bedroom or two? And
Yeah.
Let's do that slowly.
I didn't realize we'd be looking, so
Oh, sorry.
the housekeeper hasn't been in.
The housekeeper hasn't been in. That's okay.
Off the couch before you videoed that.
Oh, okay.
I think all we need is one bedroom, maybe.
Yeah.
Just to give it a feel.
But
Where are some of these art pieces from?
you know, I have brought in most of this stuff. So this was a paint night piece that we did here. We were doing paint night for a while, but then it seemed like everybody and their brother started doing
Oh,
them.
yes.
You know, it was like the VFW, the churches, you know, breweries, they were all doing them. So it got to the point where you know, you can't do it for, you know, 5, 7 people to come, you know, so we stopped doing them.
Okay, Stacy, the master bedroom in the back.
But I had gone to Thailand when I was younger, so that framed piece is something that I got in Thailand, and there's like a story behind that, which is right here. Guest book.
Yeah. Enter the Haggis was
Yep,
here.
Enter the Haggis. Yeah, they were a great show.
Back bedroom.
Okay, we're going to take a look at one of the master bedrooms, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Go right ahead.
So this is a really neat stairwell. Though, be careful going up, because this corner always sort of trips me up just going around.
You know it's an old building when the stairs are like a ladder.
Yeah.
Steep.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 bedrooms up here, bathroom, and this would sort of be the, I guess, I don't know, the master, the bridal suite, it's, the bed's a little grander.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice. Okay, I guess we'll just gather downstairs.
Okay.
Another thing that's nice is the those heat grates.
Yeah. You know, the older buildings were just so beautiful. And like, even the simplistic stuff like that, you know, they were really pretty to look at. And they just don't make floor grates that are beautiful anymore.
Yeah. What room would you like? What, in the dining room maybe? That's the show? Yeah. There we go. Where do we want to stay? Right here? This good, John?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this has certainly been a wonderful interview. We've been able to get around and see your facility, and it's very beautiful.
Thank you.
And I wish you guys the best of success here in the future, and let's hope that the rest of 2022 and all of 2023 are normal years.
We hope
And and it'll be good for all of us if that's
Yeah.
the case. So I would like to thank both Stacy and Tom O'Brien for a very interesting show. And now you know.